Okay, so I got another little mini truck project here. The back end is already bagged. I didn't do it, so we're not even getting into that. But the front end needs to be bagged because it's still static. So, pretty nice little Mazda. Even has working AC, I noticed as I was pulling it in here. So I got to inventory the parts and get started, I guess. Okay, now that I got it raised up, I see immediately why you can't use these arms as for bags, because they have this kind of a V shape to them. So that prevents them being able to be used for bags. Now, as I was saying before, those stock A arms have your sway bar mount here, and I'm relatively certain we're going to have to delete the sway bar. I don't think most bag trucks run one. You're not going to drive a bag truck to enter a slalom course or autocross, so you know, the sway bar will most likely have to go, because if you hit a switch to go left or right, you know, that's going to cause binding and issues. And also the bracketry for the sway bar. I was saying something about making that my shock bracket. I don't think that's going to work. I'll have to cut that off and repurpose it for a shock bracket. The shock goes right up through the middle of the A-arms, typical of a Japanese vehicle truck. So those will have to be relocated. Not sure. Like I say, he didn't get any kind of shock bracket, so not sure what we're going to do about that. We do have a bump stop bracket that will have to be cut off. Okay, now I do want to say this is probably not the safest method. What I got to work with, like I say, if I had the air jack you're going to hear, that'd be a whole lot nicer, but I don't, so this is what I always end up working with. I will be putting blocks under the frame back there. I've got boards goes under, especially when I go to actually working on taking everything apart and working on this. I'm just right now doing primary stuff. Now I do see potential problem. This tie rod end looks pretty rough. The boot's busted, the whole thing's rusted. Yeah, there's not even a grease fitting in it. So most likely he's going to need tie rod ends. Okay. Got my extension, so it keeps me away from it. We're going to buzz him on out of there. Ow. Well, the bolt whacked my finger coming down, but other than that, no problem. So these have this T, I guess you'd call it the T-nut. The threads are into that. By having the truck lifted up, there is actually no tension on the bar. So as long as you have the tension, the weight off of the torsion bar, especially on something that's lowered, there shouldn't really be tension on there. It still just makes me nervous because, yeah, I had a bad experience with one, so just always try to be safe with whatever you're working on. So, the other one didn't seem to have any tension, so we're going to just send this one. Okay. Alright. So there may have been some tension, but not like once it got further on down. On my T-bolt. On that one. just to give you all a better look at that. Here's your bolt. Sits in the groove there. And the T-nut goes up in the top. So this now has no tension on it. And now we put our wrench on here, our socket, and our wrench. And there it gets the nut. Well, maybe. I'll have to use open end on this one, I believe. There's that one. Now this is the tricky part. Let's see if we can get the box stand on this one where it'll kind of stay. Nope. So that's going to want to drop. Okay. Caught him with the... And there we go. There's our torsion bar removed on both sides. Okay, y'all probably can't see them, but I've got blocks of wood under the frame. Still got my screw jacks under there, but they're more or less just to kind of keep the balance because I got the blocks far enough back that it didn't really go all the way down. If you have a bag truck and you set a 6x6 in the right position, you can let the back end down. Your front wheel will come off the ground without having to have a jack. I've done it on mine plenty of times. Okay. There's a gap. So if I take that clip off, the line should be able to stay with the spindle. So if I can take the spindle loose, the lower ball joint, upper ball joint, and then take this brake line loose, then I can let the spindle swing around on the tie rod out of the way. Before I do that though, I should probably take loose my tension rod and my tie rod sway bar end. So let's see what we can do with those real quick. So the top nut of the tension rod is a 19 and the bottom is a 17, but I can't turn it, so I've got my little cheater pipe here. There we go. Can't get my impact gun to that, so sometimes you gotta wrench it. Say I'm hoping to reuse these. Oh crap! Try turning the nut. Sometimes you can turn the nut when you can't turn the bolt. And that bolt, I notice the other one looks awful rusty, so seems to be the case here. Now let's try turning the bolt. We'll turn it some, but I have limited space to turn it. Okay, let's try it without the pipe now. There we go. So this is the tension rod. We're not taking the spindle loose just yet. This rod keeps the bottom A-arm from moving forward and backwards because it's not really an A-arm. It's just an arm. And it has a bushing on the inside that has a good amount of slack in it, we'll call it. Slack, slop, whatever you want to call it. Especially when they get some age on them. And then you put a bag truck on it, so you're moving around a lot more. Okay, jump over and take the other one of those off. That's got that loose. Now we need to take loose the ball joint from the arm and the shock. Let's go ahead and do the shock first. Take our shock loose. Bottom anyhow. The top is going to be another story. Oh, interesting. They did modify the shock because this was actually supposed to be further up. Why they dropped it? That don't make no sense. But anyways, I don't know why they did it. And it don't much matter now. Now the fun part's going to be getting that thing out. Knock this brake bracket loose. Oh, there's an actual punch instead of using my extension. Alright, now we don't want to lose that. There we go. Okay. And that pops out that way and yep, right through there. So that gives that, lets that come loose. So once I take the bolts out that are holding the ball joint, then that will allow, let's see if we can get this shock bolt actually out. Okay. It's not wanting to go that way. We can drive him out. Probably run itself out. Oh, look. That's what was holding us. Huh, interesting. If the shock was holding when it's been dropped down. Tells me those shocks don't have a good amount of travel. So now we're sitting on the droop stops. Try to get y'all a little closer where maybe you can see what the heck I'm doing. Now y'all can see these. So those are the 13 up here. Now, typically on a Nissan, those are 12, but there's 4 of them. So they used a little bigger bolt, I guess. But we're going to get these bottom ones first. And they're down in here. So they take, they're a 14th. And they thread into the ball joint, as I was showing you earlier, the ball joints that had them bolts in them. So with this ratchet, you got to kind of break them loose a little bit, and then up. All right, quit your flashing. Oops. Alright, now the extension, you get in here. Maybe. That's Now once I get these unbolted, the only thing left in the arm will be the big main bolt back there. Now I can take these aftermarket arms off. And then once we get everything else loose and cleared out of the way, then we'll take a look at what it's going to take to make the other arms work as a bag arm. There we go. Okay, so our arm, lower A arm is loose. Well, anyway, so like I say, what I'm going to do is just let it swing around. I'm not going to disconnect this tie rod. I'm just going to let it swing around. Although, I do need to tell him that he needs some tie rods, but it's not a big deal. I would say since I'm going to have them loose anyways, but like I just said, I'm actually not, so. Now I don't know if there's anybody locally that will do an alignment on an air ride truck. I always just do my own and try to get it. Alright, I don't know how long I was talking to myself, but anyways, I was looking for a wrench for the shock and I found one. This one right here. That's the perfect size. Oh Lord. Well, I'm going to torture y'all with watching this. I don't even want to do this. I might have forgot to video some of this. I think y'all saw me doing the plate on the A arm and mocking it up, and now we trimmed this one down and then we turned this one the other way. I still got to weld it down through here so that it's longer, more surface, gives it more strength. I'm going to try and cut this off, cut a piece off of this rather, to fill in this gap here. That in a way, I wished I hadn't cut it that way, but in another way, that actually makes it to where I was able to weld this on top where I wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So we'll fill it back in, weld this back to that and everything, so it'll be alright. So yeah, it's been a long day. We're down in the late in the evening on Saturday here. So, and I haven't even started the other side. So my ambition of getting it all done this weekend may not happen, but we should soon have this side done. So when I was doing my inventory, I was like, what the heck are these round plates for? I don't need those. And then I had a later realization, oh yeah, I'm an idiot. These are for the A-arms. So now with that in place, that gives us a better idea of how much clearance we're going to need for our bag. But I think we just center our bag with what's space we've got up there and back here, both. That'll give us our bag placement. Alright. So I still think we can do this without the frame pocket. Because that's going to, if I do the frame pocket, it's not going to get done in a weekend. And no real way to mark this or whatever. I'm just going to freehand it. Now that actually dips down back there, but we're just going to get it flat for now. So after some test fitting and some contemplation here, I have determined I got to take at least 1.25 inches off the back of this plate, and then I'm going to trim it down where the front of it is going to be, well, I may have to scooch it back some, like so. Alright, so we got a total of 8 inches, so if you take your 1.5 inches off, or 1.25 inches, you want no more than 6 sticking up. So that would be about right. I don't want to cut it too close to these excessive slots they cut in it. I don't like this plate. I would have rather just made my own, honestly. It's pretty straight. So now, we're going to take and mark this around here, and then we'll taper it out. Okay, because if I leave this where it is, even if I put this back where this needs to be according to here, this is going to stick out too much and hit my upper A arm going in. So got to trim it on both sides. The only thing is I don't have to cut the holes, and there's these slots for some adjustability. Personally, I just drill holes, because if you got slots, that bolt gets a little loose, then it can slide and maybe you puncture the bag or something stupid. That's just my opinion. Most people slot the holes. Just not something that I usually do. I put it where I want it, and that's where it is. Of course, I also don't have a good way of doing it. This has been laser cut with a CNC machine. Alright, 1.25 inches. There. 1/4 there. And we'll straight edge that. Now I can't even see what I'm doing. Like that. Now, we're going to go from this curve and taper back like that. Taper back like that. So, this is what our plate's going to end up looking like. It looks like one of the ghosts from Pac-Man. Okay, but yeah, so we got to cut it here and cut this part here. So, and then that should give us our plate, which will fit in there. And the reason I have the spindle on right now, I know y'all can't see what's going on back here really, but let me show you what I'm looking at. So that's so we can lock our bag up back here. And let me freehand y'all a minute. So that back there, I have a mark on the A-arm. Let me see, center him up to that. Alright, that's where our bag's going to sit. So, alright, can y'all see? Hold on, let me move my light to where maybe y'all can see. Is that too glaring? Can't see what I'm looking at. Alright, hold on. Oh, there it is. Lower ball joint. So we got clearance there. And we got clearance between the bag and the frame. So, at that, we have enough clearance for this bag. Now, this is the Slam Specialty bag, which is a small ish bag. So it will work like this. The thing is, he is going to have to continue to use a bag of this size. Not necessarily that exact brand, but no more than a 6-inch diameter. My nads is getting warm. Yeah, that's more like it. Now I'm going to just stay put long enough to weld it. It's going to be in the story. And that's warm, very warm. Probably should use a magnet or clamp of some sort, right? Probably should. I probably won't. Okay. Around here where I can hold it from this side. I'll hold it with the left hand. Weld it with the right. Now the clamp's in the way. I'll throw it over here on this one. Yeah, there we go. Now. Mini 16th inch, wherever the heck I got that from. Yeah, that's more like 70-18 1/8 inch. Got some gaps to fill in. I might have forgot to video some of this. I think y'all saw me doing the plate on the A-arm and mocking it up, and now we trimmed this one down, and then we turned this one the other way. I still got to weld it down through here so that it's longer, more surface, gives it more strength. I'm going to try and cut this off, cut a piece off of this rather, to fill in this gap here that in a way, I wished I hadn't cut it that way, but in another way, that actually makes it to where I was able to weld this on top where I wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So we'll fill it back in, weld this back to that and everything, so it'll be all right. So yeah, it's been a long day. We're down in the late in the evening on Saturday here. So, and I haven't even started the other side. So my ambition of getting it all done this weekend may not happen, but we should soon have this side done. Okay, today I've been working on this template. Very tricky piece. I tried cutting a piece from the old stuff and I came up with this. It was ill-fitting, still had a big hole in it. So I'm going to cut this shape out of a plate and bend it to match that. So that's what I'm working on right now. So now that I have my template, we can transfer that to metal and cut it. So we got our drawing transferred. Now we're going to cut it. The reason I blew a hole that time is it's much easier to pull than it is to try to push this thing. You gotta leave yourself about 1/8 of an inch to allow room for the tip. And when I got to the end, I let that scoot a little bit, so I want to round that corner just a little. Because my template is coming up with a little bit of gap right back there, so. And there we go. Now we gotta set him up there and mark it exactly where I need my bends. Then I'll take it back to the vise, bend it, and hopefully it will fit perfect. Don't hold your breath. Alright, so laid him up there, put some marks where it needed to bend it, ground it down, trimmed. Let's see how it fits. Well, the trick's going to be getting it in there. May have to take a little off of those corners. Just round a little bit off the bottom edge of that and bottom of this other one. Oh yeah, now we're just getting somewhere. All right. I'll have to take a little more off of that. Something like that. That's probably not the best way to hold that and cut that, but Alright, so I'm going to have to weld some. And then this side I'll have to probably weld it and get it good and hot here and then hammer it in some more. And it's actually may lap a little over that. Because for some reason this is tapering down. Oh, because I cut the front of this. I tried to cut it square off there. But anyway, that's looking pretty daggone good. Let me take this off so I don't sound like Darth Vader. That's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. This has been an aggravating, time-consuming little piece here, and well, we're about to get him in there. And once this is welded in, I'm gonna make a little plate for down here, and a couple of little pieces for this, and this side's pretty much done. Then maybe a little trimming here and there. I'll probably trim these off a little bit. Okay, so I skipped the welding part of this top, but we welded him up and got it good and hot there, so now we're gonna hammer that down and back. And reveal that we didn't actually get that stuck. I thought it didn't look like it was doing right. So anyways, more welding to do in here. But the idea was I welded here and here to get this good and hot to make that go back in there, and it worked. So anyway, I'm not gonna show you all a bunch more welding. Okay, got our top filler plate welded in all nice now. That looks super stout. So now we got to make the plate for this bottom piece, and it's odd shaped. So what we're going to do is take this other scrap piece of paper I got here and line him up with the top of that frame right there, and take our hammer and scribe it. Well, that's less than ideal. Alright. I forgot I'm all zoomed in, and y'all might not can see what the heck I'm doing. So anyway, let me back y'all off a little bit. And so yeah, let me trim him up a little bit. Kind of go by this inside line, so this should be a straight line. Corner rounds just a little bit. Take care of that here in a minute. And this bottom is more or less a straight line, but not exactly. That. See a few teeth marks here. That. Alright. Now we got some straight edges there. Pretty close. And that bottom really wasn't that straight. It actually has a curve in it because it has that hump part in it. And, well, we may have to start over with a new piece of paper because I kind of screwed it up right there. Or just kind of compensate for it. Tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to take our marker and we're going to put this back up here. And we're going to need a little more. We're going to invert our little hump here. Yeah, I'm shaky like I drink a pot of coffee. And then you want to round this off a little bit. Okay. which actually that can be done with the grinder. Just trying to, I'm going to cut this with the plasma cutter so to save time. Well, looks like our little template done the trick. This is where I cut that other piece, so there was already kind of a notch here, so I basically just cut this side, and this little corner, and then rounded these edges a little bit here. So now to get that welded in. Alright, so didn't get finished over the weekend as I had hoped, but oh well. It's Monday now, Monday evening. So actually I probably would have done assembly last night, but I ran into a little glitch when I got ready to start putting stuff together. There was this little bracket right here that was hitting the bag bracket, and then there was one over here that was going to hit down here, and so I had to eliminate those. So now when this goes down, the bottom of this hits here, so there's nothing else I can do about that. That's just as far as it can go. So now we're ready for assembly, and so what I've done is ran these bolts in backwards so that I can set this up here, and those bolts will go down through there, and it lines everything up. It makes it much easier to start the other bolts from the bottom. Then I'll take these out and switch them around. And then I've got this propped up there out of the way until I get this in place. Then I'll drop that down in place. And okay, I'm getting ahead of myself though, because I need to get my jack back under there so that this don't drop when I put the thing under it. What did I do with that? Oh crap, that one ran all the way up. Hold on, there's another one here somewhere I've seen. Yeah, right here. Yeah. Now we're going to take this and clear away all the metal. Yeah. That's where that belongs. Alright.
I'll pick it up later.
Will? Oh, you will? Alright. Now I pretty much just want to support that. Now another thing I did notice we may have a little issue with is I don't have the bolts for the tension rod, because the old ones were all the way through with a nut on them, because those were aftermarket arms, and these are threaded, so I'm gonna have to find bolts that'll work for that, but that's not gonna keep me from doing this part. Alright, so we have that drop down in there, and now I should have found my bolts first. There's one. Alright, got that partially started. Now I'm going to drop this A-arm down. Maybe that'll help me to hold it in place. Well, kind of, sort of. There we go. Keep that on there. And I probably should have found a nut for that too. Oh, there it is. I wonder if I should have put the bag in first. Hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay. Now, yep, that's not started at all, is it? There we go. Now put the washer back on the bolt again. That's why I put those 2 line-up bolts in there though, because without those, you're just really trying to hold everything in the right spot. There we go. Now we got it done. And once I got that one started, the other one should be good. Right now, everything's just pretty much finger tight. These are tight. I tightened those up ahead of time, but that one I'll have to tighten and put a cotter pin in. Now, anyways, I'll find another bolt here in a minute, but we can put this in here. Let's take the fitting off and make it easier on myself. I got to Teflon tape those anyway. And, well, the good thing is, it'll just practically fall in there. Bad thing is, this bolt is going to be a bunch of choice words here. Alright, I'm going to have a short socket and an extension, yeah, like that right there, so that I can hook this up here from underneath. Enough to, hopefully it'll stick up enough to get, you know what, it's not going to stick up enough, so we need maybe a nut. So I found a rusty 3/8 nut, fit down in our bolt here, in our socket, so that when I stick the bolt in, now the bolt sticks up enough to actually reach the bag. Because I can't get my fingers in. There's just a hole cut in the bottom of the A-arm, so I can't get my fingers in there before I have to use this. So, yeah. Alright, that's snug. And now we'll take and push the whole assembly up with my jack, which is about to slip out. Alright. Now, I want to note that I didn't match this angle to the A-arm at full collapse. I actually made it a little flatter. That put the back of this a little higher. So it'll make it a little bit of a... Okay, had a little camera battery going dead on me there. So, got this bolt. And I've got to actually turn it up here in the wrong spot to get this bolt started. And then I'll have to like really wrestle with it to get the other one lined back up. Like so. Alright, now what did I do with that ratchet? There it is. And those all the way back are fitting, still has plenty of room back there, so I'm going to go ahead and run those down. I've got them pushed as far back as they'll go. Something I meant to take care of before I put this bag in, and just now thought of a minute ago, was putting the bracket back on for this. So I may have to like cover the bag up with something so I can weld that to that arm a little bit. Ow. And if y'all seeing this mist, that's my cooler fan over here. My, what is this thing? Icy Breeze cooler. Which has really been great since it's been in the 90s the past few days. Alright, so now I need the Teflon, the fittings to go in there. I gotta find the bolts to put in the tension rod. Gotta replace the tie rod and mount that, and then this side will be done. Got to run the line for it, but so I mean, you know, basic assembly stuff, and there we go. We bagged the Mazda. Well, bagged half the front of the Mazda anyway. Still got to do the other side, but doing this side, I figured everything out, so the other side would just do it all over again. Easy, right? Right. Well, took a little longer than I intended. It actually ended up taking a week and a half, which is still not bad for, you know, installing bags on the front of a truck. So this is Saturday. Had to think a second. And I got it Wednesday before last, so that's not bad. Had a few little complications, made things take a little longer than I thought, but so it's done now. And so now we can actually lay it out fully. For the first time. And the front fenders, we didn't trim the fender wells, but like it's touching on the very inside part a little bit, I do believe, but like I think we're going to be able to get by without having to actually cut those, which is great because, you know, now he don't have gaping holes in his inner fenders. He has a 205 45/16 tire, so I think the small tire is why we actually was able to get by with that. So that's got it all wrapped up, and he's ready to take it to its first little show, and well, I guess that's that. Later.